I think it's officially that time of year now. We've been early on this channel, but as soon as the holiday season is on the horizon, the regular season of college football starts coming to an end, and once the hopes of about 1/3 of the NFL teams die, it is officially draft season. The best time of year, in my opinion, and I'm going to celebrate with a mock draft. And I've got a guest for us today. And this is a guest who knows these prospects back to front and inside out better than anyone else out there. It is the PFF College Football Show's very own Max Chadwick. Max, thank you so much for coming on again and looking forward to talking some draft this time.
No, I appreciate you bringing me on, man. I know I was on last time, too. I know I've seen your episode with Trevor before. I watched that entire episode. That was awesome that you guys did a couple months ago, too. Yeah, man, you guys do an awesome job on this channel, honestly. I try to tune in as much as I can to it, so I'm honored to be back on today.
Brilliant. Well, let's get right into it. We're not going to do any trades. We're going to alternate the picks, but there'll be some collaboration here, obviously, as well. I might ask Max to help me out in a few picks. There's always some I struggle with. And Max, do you want to start with one and then have the odds, or do you want to start with two and have the evens?
Ooh, if you don't mind, I could actually take number one here.
Go for it.
There's some talk about Tennessee. Now, I think Tennessee, probably the best thing for them to do is trade down to a team that wants to take a quarterback here. But since we're not doing trades in this mock draft, I'm going to stick at one here, and I'm going to take a defensive player. I'm not going to take Arvell Reese here, even though a lot of people think he's the best player in the draft. I'm a little bit lower on him right now. I think I do like him. I think he's very talented, but, you're hoping he can turn into an incredible edge rusher when we already have an incredible edge rusher in this draft in Ruben Bain Jr., right? There's no kind of projection needed there for Ruben Bain, who has been one of the best defensive players in college football this year, 93.6 PFF grade. Tennessee needs help at edge rusher. If they stuck or if they didn't take Cam Ward last year, Abdul Carter was another option for them because they really badly needed help at edge rusher. And I think, I know you got to help Cam Ward out as much as possible, but I think you got to help that defense out too. I think Ruben Bain Jr. would be, if I had to stick at one from Tennessee, that's probably who I would take here for the Titans.
Ruben Bain Jr., I must admit, I've been an Arvell Reese convert in recent weeks, but there's always that with the draft, right? That when a new shiny toy comes around, suddenly that's what's in vogue. And I do think that people like Ruben Bain Jr. almost get knocked for playing well at the beginning of the year rather than towards the end, almost, with Miami being the hot team to start the season off. Obviously, they've now had their 2 losses and they're kind of, out of vogue in that same regard. But Ruben Bain, man, that chop that he's got and the speed around the edge, the tenacity that he plays with, I think he's just absolutely fantastic as well. And obviously the Titans, if they can't trade back, I like that a lot. At 2, the New York Giants, they don't need, obviously, Arvell Reese. They've got Abdul Carter. They've got Brian Burns. I'm not touching this tackle class. I don't know about you, Max, but I'm not high on it whatsoever. I'm not going to touch one of those guys in the top 5, and there's only one of them anyway. So then, do you think it's too early? Well, you know what? With Caleb Downs, I'm going to take Caleb Downs. I'm going to pull the trigger on Caleb Downs. And yes, I know safety at 2. It's early. I'm sure we can agree on that. But it's more the fact that if this were to happen, the Giants would almost definitely trade down. There'll be a team looking to jump the Browns, maybe the Jets, for example, or the Raiders looking to take a quarterback. And this is more of a kind of where the Giants might ultimately fall in the draft kind of pick for me with Caleb Downs, and why I think he's worth taking, honestly, with the top 5 picks. It's really not that much of a reach. I would start looking at him at 5, personally. He's just so damn smart. He's the smartest player in this class. His game IQ is off the charts. That Texas game, when he was playing against Arch Manning, the first game of the season, he just has that body language that made Arch Manning think that he was going to be covering the deep half when really he was covering the flat. Like, he just has that chess match kind of IQ where he just knows what's going to happen one step before the quarterback even does. And that smartness is, you've got to draft it that early. You need the talent on the defense, I think, if you're New York. And Caleb Downs, in my opinion, is one of the top 3 most talented defensive players in this class, maybe top 1. What do you think?
I agree with you. I have no problem taking Caleb Downs at any of the spots, honestly. There's even a talk, there's chatter about him potentially being the number 1 overall pick, too. I don't hate that either. I mean, he's a guy that I think is the best player in the draft, honestly. And I think he has been this way for his entire career. I think he's a generational type of safety prospect. I think he's up there with the guys like Kyle Hamilton and Derwin James. And, you're seeing right now how valuable a guy like Kyle Hamilton is to the Ravens defense, where last year, when the Ravens defense was struggling, they moved Hamilton back to free safety, and they got so much better. This year, they have guys like Malachi Starks that can play free safety, and they were struggling to begin the year, so they moved Hamilton back up front as kind of a pseudo linebacker for them, and it's made the defense so much better again. So like a chess piece like that can do whatever is asked of him, I think that fits Caleb Downs to a T. I think he could play in the slot, he could play a free safety, he could play in the box for sure as well. I think he's a special player. I really do, and I do not disagree with this pick at all. Like I said, I know it's a safety. I know people don't really see safeties going this high in the draft. I don't believe we've actually had a safety go in the top 5 since Eric Berry like 15 years ago. But a guy like Caleb Downs is a special player, and I think safeties are getting a little undervalued, I think, in today's day and age of the NFL.
You got 3 with the Browns, and you've just also released your big board. Am I right in saying that?
Yes, a little bit. Yeah, it was kind of a showing people that we came out with this brand new tool at PFF called the Big Board Builder, where you can build your own big board using our stuff, and it's awesome. It literally just came out like yesterday, I think. So I was kind of like trying to hype that up by putting out a quick top 10. It wasn't really a definitive one for me. I was kind of just like, okay, what do I feel like right now? But yeah, I did put out a big board yesterday, and I think I know where you're going with this, because I think my QB1 right now is who I'm going to take to the Browns here. I don't know who's going to be in the draft. I'll put it out there right now. I do not know. I still like Dante Moore the most of all the quarterbacks that are draft eligible right now. Now, there's still a lot of chatter that he's going to go back to school at Oregon. As of right now, I'm going to treat it as if he's in this draft because he is draft eligible, and I think he is a top 5, top 10 player in this class. So I'm going to take Dante Moore here. He's younger than both Fernando Mendoza and Ty Simpson. I think he's been playing better than Ty Simpson, especially lately. Ty Simpson's been kind of a little bit cold lately. Dante Moore's a really good player. There's some C.J. Stroud, I think, to his game, too. For a Browns team listen, I love Shedeur Sanders as a prospect coming out, but I don't know if that's going to work out in Cleveland, just with some attitude problems I think that he might have there. So I'm going to take Dante Moore here and maybe be the next franchise, maybe be the franchise quarterback that the Browns have been looking for a very long time.
He's so great, Dante Moore, and that's kind of the question with him, isn't it, at the moment? It's almost like you're hesitant to choose him in these mock drafts because I don't think he will declare, looking at how kind of this season's gone for him. What do you think his percentage is in terms of likelihood of coming out like right now?
I would say 65-35 that he comes back to school. I think there is a chance, though. I think so many people are like, oh, he's definitely going back to school. Like, that's guaranteed him. I'm like, this guy might be a top 5 pick, right? It's very hard for a quarterback who could be a top 5 pick to pass it up. I know in today's day and age of NIL that you can make a lot of money in college football, but it's hard for me to pass it up, especially if you look ahead to next year's draft and you look at guys like Julian Sayin, the quarterback at Ohio State. I think he is the best quarterback in the country right now, and if everyone was eligible, we're actually going to do that video later on our show, all eligible mock draft. If he's eligible, he'd be QB1. So Dante Moore, I think right then and there is at least QB2 next year. I like Arch Manning. I think he's kind of making a little bit of a comeback there too. He could be a top contender next year. It feels like some other guys would be coming back to school, could be contenders next year too. It feels like it's a weaker class this year. Dante Moore could take advantage of it and be QB1. Now, he could obviously develop for another year too, which I think will be advantageous to his development. But I don't know, man. It's hard for me. If I was Dante Moore, it's hard for me to look at it and say, man, I could be the number 1 overall pick in this draft the way it's looking right now. It's hard for me to kind of pass it up right now if I'm him and go back to school for another year.
Also, I mean, look at Drew Aller. Look at Garrett Nussmeier.
Right.
These guys were said, they go back to school, they're going to increase their draft stock. That's far from a guarantee. I mean, Drew Aller now, with his injury and with how Penn State season's gone, he's not even going to be, maybe day 3 UDFA pick? Who knows? But it's definitely not going to be anywhere near where he was slated to potentially be picked this time last year. So it's really not a guarantee. And if you're looking at a top 5 pick, and obviously they get the info from the scouts, they get kind of not told where they'll get drafted exactly, but they get given, good range and good comms on that. I think to turn that down, given what we've seen this season from multiple quarterbacks, would maybe be a bit silly. The Saints at 4, this then is going to be Arvell Reese, right? They've needed defensive line help for God knows how long. And Arvell Reese, I know it's, the kind of hot pick at the moment, but man, I absolutely love watching Arvell Reese. I always try and be a bit reflective, Max, when I'm looking at my draft misses. And I missed on Jared Verse. And I underestimate power. I love the finesse guys. I love Donovan Ezeraku. I love Laiatu Latu. I just love watching those, those hand fighters, those really polished guys that come in with multiple moves. Really, you just got to run through some people more often than not, right? And Arvell Reese has that strength, he has that power, he has the speed, he's got the athleticism, 6'4", 243 pounds. That classic, we've seen it multiple times, obviously with Abdul Carter and the likes, and Micah Parsons, converted off-ball linebacker, moved to not really as much as those other guys. He's still kind of splitting his time, I think, between off-ball linebacker and edge, etc. He's only got 59 pass rushing snaps. David Bailey, 300 plus. Ruben Bain, 300 plus. But man, when this guy switches it on, he's genuinely unstoppable. He can move 300-pound offensive linemen with ease. And I think his floor, obviously the ceiling is super high, but here I'm more interested in Reese's floor, frankly. I would play him full-time at edge, and then I would use that kind of coverage ability that he has to keep the quarterback honest. You drop him back every now and then. He's got that ability. But I think his projection at the NFL is going to be mostly at the edge. Do you agree with that, or do you think he should play kind of that 50-50 hybrid role?
No, I'm with you there. I think if you are in the boat that Arvell Reese is deserving of being maybe the number 1 overall pick, if not a top 5 pick, I think that's the assumption if he's going to play edge rusher, right? Because I don't know if you got to be really special as a linebacker to go that high in a draft, and I don't think as a linebacker, as a pure linebacker, I think there's a lot of deficiencies there in coverage. But I think downhill he's incredible, and I think what's encouraging for him, what should help him out in this process, is that you look at a guy like Jalen Walker, who was also kind of used more as a linebacker at Georgia. He's been great this year for the Falcons as an edge rusher, right? You look at a guy like Abdul Carter, who switched in college to do it. Micah Parsons switched in the NFL from linebacker to edge rusher, and he's been obviously one of the best defensive players in the NFL. So you're kind of hoping that Arvell Reese has that similar type of impact in the NFL. Again, I like Arvell Reese a lot. He's probably like more of a top 15 player for me than a top 5 player for me. But
you think he's undraftable? You wouldn't?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think he's got no future in football. Absolutely.
He's a bust.
No, I think. I'm a little more timid with those kind of guys. Like Jalen Walker, for example, I was a little more lower on him, probably lower than I should have been on him last year. I still thought he was a good player, but didn't want to take him in the top 15. But yeah, those guys, I just like Arvell Reese a lot. He's very athletic. But listen, in this kind of draft too, I don't blame you, because like there's not a lot of guarantees in this draft, and taking a guy with the ceiling like Arvell Reese has, I can't blame you for taking him here to the Saints who need help on that defense.
Brilliant. You at 5 with the Jets.
All right, so I'm going to have a hot take here.
Yes.
I, with how they're constructing their roster, which I'm really actually a big fan of what they're doing, Darren Mogi, the GM, is doing there. They now have 2 first-round picks in 2027. Mm-hmm. If I'm the Jets and Dante Moore is off the board here, I do like Fernando Mendoza and I do like Ty Simpson. I'm not going to take a quarterback here, though, because I think I'm going to wait next year and just pray to the football gods that they reward me with Julian Sayin next year, or maybe I'll be cool with waiting for an Arch Manning or something like that next year too, or whoever else emerges. I think it will be a better quarterback class next year. So and also if you have 2 first-round picks in next year's draft, even if you're, say, number 3, or I think the Jets will be pretty bad next year too. If they're picking like number 4 or 5, you can package that other first-round pick to move up to maybe number 1. Now, depending on if that team at number 1 needs a quarterback, they might not be willing to move down from that spot because Julian Sain's in that class. But I'm hoping that Julian Sain or someone of some similar ilk would be there. So I like Mendoza. I like Ty Simpson. They're more to me like ceiling is like a top 15 quarterback to me in the NFL. I don't know if you're going to get like a top 10, top 5 quarterback in the NFL with either of those guys. So instead, all that being said, I'm going to take Jordan Tyson here, the wide receiver at Arizona State. I think they need, whoever the next quarterback is, they need more than Garrett Wilson right now. They have nothing in that receiving core right now. So I think Jordan Tyson, I think he's worthy of being around a top 5 pick in this draft. And I think for the Jets, getting him with a guy like Garrett Wilson and then figuring out a quarterback probably next year with having maybe another year of Justin Fields. I know not a lot of fans would probably love to hear that, but if you just tank next year, one more year, and then get a guy like Julian Sain, who I think could be like a Joe Burrow type of quarterback in the NFL, I think that could be a great move for the Jets. So I'll take Jordan Tyson here to the Jets. Yeah,
the wide receiver room the Jets are trotting out week after week is genuinely insulting to the league, I would say. The fact it always gets whipped out, right? Would best, the number 1 ranked team in the country in college, would they beat the worst team? And those discussions, I think, are always ridiculous. The level is just not the same. I do, however, think if you took the Ohio State wide receiver room and gave it to the Jets, that would immediately be what? I mean, I love Carnell Tate. I will talk about him very shortly, I hope.
Jeremiah next year, too. I don't know.
Jeremiah, exactly. Those, I mean, Jeremiah Smith would be the first overall pick in this draft with a bullet, in my opinion. And it's not even close. And that's what's actually crazy. There genuinely is out there right now, I would say, like to 98% certainty, a better wide receiver room in college than the Jets have. And that's just because they have no one there. It is literally Garrett Wilson and no one else. It's like that Will Smith meme where he comes back in the empty room in Fresh Prince. So I love Jordan Tyson. He's my wide receiver 3 though, so we'll see.
Interesting.
We'll see how other guys come up. I love this receiver class though, Max. I love it. I think it's full of guys that, I mean, Tyson the same way. He's not a wide receiver 1 like a Jamar Chase is or was when he was coming out, but he's that 1B type, the almost like a, not in the same mold of receiver, but in that same kind of like Zay Flowers kind of like wide receiver 1B kind of guy. So I love Jordan Tyson. His movement skills are brilliant at his height. So good. The Raiders at 6. Okay, well, I mean, usually the quarterbacks are off the board for me. I am a Geno Smith defender, and this offensive line is terrible. And that's where I think the real issues lie with the Raiders. But can they really roll it back, run it back with Geno Smith? I don't think they can if this is how the board falls to them. So I've now got I'm going to take Fernando Mendoza here. I'm going to take Fernando Mendoza. He has now just moved up to my QB1. It's flipping all the time. I tried to have it as like a live document, but I did a breakdown of his game-winning drive against Penn State. I mean, that's it, right? That's what you want your quarterback to be able to do. I think we get lost in the toolsy, physical, traitsy guys, the Josh Allens and the Drake Mays. And those guys are running the league, right? I mean, they are the best quarterbacks in the league. But really playing quarterback in the NFL 95% of the time is, can you hit a speed out? Can you hit a deep in time? Can you hit a hitch? Can you just like make plays, keep your offense ahead of the chains? And can you win when you need to? And Fernando Mendoza on that game-winning drive, the throws that he was making up the seams, he's so brave. He can stand in the pocket. He can take a hit with defenders in his grill. He just has that kind of clutch factor, those intangibles. He's got that kind of Baker Mayfield in him, if you will, that kind of like how bad do you want it. And I think that matters almost just as much sometimes as the physical traits do. So Fernando Mendoza, a bit of winning mentality in Las Vegas, which, my God, that team desperately needs it. The Commanders for you.
Yeah, this is tough because Ruben Bain's off the board. Caleb Downs is off the board. Arvell Reese is off the board. Those are all 3 of those guys that I think the Commanders will be all over because they just need help in that front 7 and that defense overall right now. Man, this is really hard because there's a couple options here. I think they have to improve that edge room, and we'll see what they do in free agency as well. I think TJ Parker has been good this year. I think people are kind of underrating how good he's been. He had an incredible game this past week against
best game of the season.
Yeah, really. He was really good. I still think he's probably around a top 10-ish talent in this draft, and for a Commanders team that needs help at edge, I think he'd be a guy they look at. So I'll go with TJ Parker here. I think he's, I think he'll probably end up being more of like a top 20 pick in the draft, but I still think his tape this year has been good enough to stay around where he was thought of preseason. So I'll take TJ Parker here to the Commanders at 7.
Yeah, he was my 3rd ranked player, and this Clemson season has just been an absolute disaster. He's my 3rd ranked player going to this season. He's now 20 on my big board. I mean, but it's what we saw from him last year. He's had what, 2 years before this year, 50 pressures, if I have that right, if I have that to hand. 51 pressures in 2024, 12 sacks. You don't get that by luck. You have to have that talent in you somewhere. So we're hoping that TJ Parker can run it back, and the Commanders just need talent, and TJ Parker could give them that injection. The Rams, wow. Is this the Ty Simpson pick?
Maybe,
Is this the heir apparent to Matthew Stafford? I mean, this is free money. They've got the Falcons with a top 8 pick. Ty Simpson. Why the hell not? Why the hell not? I love Matthew Stafford. I think he's playing some unbelievable ball. I'm happy to take Ty Simpson here and sit him for a year. We're seeing JJ McCarthy at the moment having issues with his mechanics. Ty Simpson, it's not like for like, but we saw him in the game against Oklahoma just airmail that wide open receiver for what would have been a massive gain. And I think you kind of see that same issue there to a degree. But he got by Oklahoma. And I think that's more down to a great Oklahoma defense, a really good game plan from them. The protection up front really wasn't delivering. And look, they had a good game plan for Ty Simpson. They got him throwing with pressure under the blitz. He was conservative, checking it down. But with Sean McVay as the heir apparent to Matthew Stafford, no quarterback could hope for a better situation.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think, even though Matthew Stafford, I would argue right now, should be the MVP of the league, he's not going to play forever, right? He's almost 40 years old right now. So I think you're right. You got gifted this pick from the Falcons, and it's going to be probably a top 10 pick because Penix is out for the year, if not higher than number 8 overall. They could really end up being a lot worse than number 8 overall, too. So this could end up being an incredible pick for a team. I would say right now the Rams are the favorite to win the Super Bowl, and they can win the Super Bowl and still have a top 10 pick in the draft, right?
Wild.
Which is crazy. And, you could just I kind of like this thinking from you where, okay, if you think Stafford has another couple great years in the tank and you can go for even more rings, maybe you go with a guy like Jermod McCoy or something like that to help out, needs that you have right now. But I do not hate this thinking at all of saying, okay, when are we going to be bad enough to take a quarterback, like this? So I think it's worth it. I think it is worth it. And I think, building for the future with Sean McVay and getting the next quarterback in there and sitting for 1 or 2 years behind Matthew Stafford before he rides off into the sunset, it's a great move for Sean McVay. And that way the Rams aren't stuck in purgatory where they have this great roster, but nobody at quarterback. You have Ty Simpson winning in the wings right now. So I think with either of their first-round picks, but especially at number 8 overall, Ty Simpson's still on the board here. I think it's a great move for Los Angeles.
Oh, yes, the seal of approval. I'm cooking. On to the Bengals at 9. I hate drafting for the Bengals, by the way, so good luck.
Yeah, I hate it too. But I feel like it's hard, but it's also like you have to take a front 7 player. And I think I'm going to take a defensive lineman here. I'm going to take Peter Woods. I think Peter Woods has been not as good as he's been in past years. His freshman year was incredible. Sophomore year is also great. This past year, he hasn't been as good as we would hope from him. But I think if you look at the entire body of work from Peter Woods, he's still a top 10 player in this draft and great movement skills too. So I'm a big fan of him. I think he'll be a really good D tackle in the NFL, and this Bengals defensive line is atrocious. And especially if they let go of Trey Hendrickson too, all of a sudden that's their one good defensive lineman they have right now. Shamar Stewart, we'll see with him. He's a kind of a high upside player. I think Peter Woods is not only a high upside player, but a high floor player too. He should be a good player for Cincinnati.
Yeah, he was my number 1 ranked player going into this year. And I feel better about Peter Woods' talent than I do with TJ Parker's. But in the same vein, that talent just doesn't go away. The production just doesn't vanish overnight. So Peter Woods, he could be a star player. You could get him on a discount, really, if anything. The Cardinals. If a quarterback was here, I might think about drafting one if they're going to move on from Kyler Murray. Remains to be seen. But instead then, so they've obviously got... Why am I blanking on the Marvin Harrison Jr.? They've got Michael Wilson. I like both of those guys. But what this is kind of lacking is a bit of dynamism. Let's get Mekhi Lemon in there. He'd be my pick for the Biletnikoff winner right now. I mean, he has 71 receptions, 1,090 yards, 8 touchdowns, an unbelievable game against Iowa. Oh, my God. He went 10 for 10. That just doesn't happen. You don't catch all 10 targets that are thrown your way. And then he went 4 for 4 on contested catches. There's the first contested target of the game. He completely spun round the defensive back that was guarding him, got in his blind spot brilliantly, and then just fearlessly went up for a jump ball when a safety was about to absolutely rock him, and he just comes down with it. I know he's lighter, I know he's smaller, he's 5'11", 195 pounds, but look at the wide receivers that are dominating the league at the moment. You've got the likes of Ross and Brown. They aren't, even someone like Justin Jefferson, these aren't guys that are generally 6'4", can run a 4.3, insanely, wild athletes. They're just guys that can get open, they've got good hands, and they just want the ball. And I think Mekhi Lemon is the most dynamic receiver in this class in terms of just that kind of like agility, that ability to get open. And I just think he's a really, really damn good player. And to get him, Lemon, you've got Trey McBride, you've got Marvin Harrison Jr., you've got Michael Wilson. I could play quarterback and I could get 100 yards in that and when I'm throwing to those guys. So it's a pretty good receiver room.
It's fantastic. I think you made a phenomenal point right there where you said, he's not the prototypical size for receiver, but look at Amon-Ra St. Brown, look at Puka Nacua, look at Jackson Smith and Jigba. That's the mold we're looking at right now with Mekhi Lemon. And I would agree with you. He's been the best receiver in college football this year. And, listen, he's not 6'4", but damn it, he plays like he's 6'4". I mean, some of the catches this guy makes, I'm like, how is that possible for someone in your body to be doing that? So he's incredible, man. I 1,000% agree with you. He's been the best receiver in college football this year. Big game this weekend for him against Oregon. That great secondary that Oregon's got to. I think it's the biggest game of the weekend. But, man, Mekhi Lemon, what he has done this year, it's hard for me to say any receiver is better than Jeremiah Smith, especially with how good he's been as a sophomore. But I would argue,
True.
I'm with you right now. Mekhi Lemon is right now my favorite for the Blitnikoff Award too.
Goated, man. Unbelievable. This, dare I say, with the Dolphins at 11, is there another receiver off the board here? Or are you going to go in a different direction?
It just, we just talked about, prototypical size doesn't really matter. It does help to have prototypical size, and I'm going to take Carnell Tate right here. He's 6'3",
yes.
Receiver, 195 pounds. Tyreek Hill's he's gone. He's not going to last very long there. So I think Carnell Tate. And also that injury he had was gruesome too. So hopefully he can get back healthy. But Carnell Tate, man, what he has done this year has been incredible. Kind of battling an injury, kind of a weird situation we got in Columbus with Carnell Tate's injury, where he's kind of missed the last couple of games. Hopefully it's not serious. Hopefully we see him next week for the game against Michigan. But hopefully, but he's been a great receiver for them this year. And he was good last year as kind of like the number 3 guy behind, of course, Emeka Egbuka and Jeremiah Smith. Now this year is kind of the Robin to Jeremiah Smith's Batman, and it's incredible what he's done. It's just, every single year, whoever's next up for Ohio State is going to be great. I'm sure Brandon Inniss next year with Ohio State is going to be great as the number 2 to Jeremiah Smith. I'm sure Chris Henry Jr., who's the number 1 receiver in the country out of high school,
my God.
he's going to Ohio State as well. It never, ever ends with Ohio State. Carnell Tate's the next guy for them. And listen, for anyone who's like, he's never been the number 1 receiver in college, he's at Ohio State. Look at it. Emeka Egbuka was never the number 1 receiver in college, and he's like the number 1 receiver for rookies right now, I would argue, in the NFL. So Carnell Tate, prototypical size, great contested catch ability. He's caught like over 90% of his contested catches this year, which is crazy. He has not dropped a single pass this year either. So great hands, great size. He moves well at the size too. I think he is firmly a top 15 player in this draft now.
He's my 7th ranked player on my big board. I love Carnell Tate. I think the ability to get open deep is different to getting open at the line of scrimmage, in the sense that, like, just because you're shifty at the line of scrimmage doesn't mean you can get open deep. And often you just see receivers try and just run past safeties, basically, or run past deep defenders. And Carnell Tate literally sets them up again. He'll try and spin the safety round. He puts a little jiggle at the top of the route. He is so damn good. He's got 18.2 yards per reception at the moment. Basically 2 first downs. When I'm watching Jeremiah Smith film, because obviously, you sit there, I could sit there all night watching Jeremiah Smith. I'm genuinely like, oh my God, Carnell Tate is making unbelievable plays. And the fact that he's able to jump off the screen even when he's playing with the likes of Jeremiah Smith, who, is better than him, still shows what a talent Tate is. And I'm done sleeping on Ohio State receivers. I missed with Emeka Egbuka. I got to hold my hands up. I had him as a 2nd round guy. We all make mistakes, Max. No one's perfect, but I'm not going to make the same mistake again. Those guys just are good. They are just good.
This would be the 6th Ohio State receiver to go in the 1st round in the last 5 drafts, would it be? Because you had Olave and Garrett Wilson in the same draft. Even Jameson Williams, you want to count him. He went to Ohio State for a little bit before he went to Alabama, but we won't count him here. Jackson Smith and Jigba, Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Egbuka, and then now Carnell Tate, and then, of course, Jeremiah Smith next year, too. Like, it's just it's every year. They're averaging over 1 receiver taken in the 1st round over the last 5 drafts, which is just an insane stat for that program. And as a Penn State fan, where the bane of my existence has been wide receiver, it's like, man, if we can just get one of those guys, it would completely change this program.
just they're being selfish over there at Ohio State.
Yeah.
The Cowboys at 11. I took a tackle last time I did a mock draft, and Cowboys fans nearly doxed me for it. So
I don't hate it.
Well, nor do I, Max. But I don't want to feel the wrath of those Cowboys fans again. They've obviously made the trade. Their defensive line is now not a huge need. I'm going to get your help here with this pick. And then I can send the Cowboys hate your way if they don't like it. So brace yourself. Who would you take here for the Cowboys?
They do need help on the edge. So I think if whoever these edge rushers you really like, I would probably lean towards, unless you love Jermon McCoy or Mansour Delane too. I think those are 2 guys that can help out this defense. But I would probably lean edge rusher or corner here. I think those are the places I would look. But yeah, if whoever you really have, higher between Keldrick Falk and David Bailey or Jermon McCoy and Mansour Delane, I think those are the guys that I'd be looking at right now.
Yeah, I like the Delane pick. I'm gonna go with Delane. I've been really high on Delane all season. Obviously, he gets the bump because he's healthy, and German McCoy unfortunately isn't. We thought he might be able to come back if Tennessee were going to make maybe a playoff run, and that seems incredibly unlikely right now. And I don't see why McCoy would then try and kind of put his recovery for the NFL in any kind of danger. Mantle Delane, though, has been playing, therefore, like the best draft eligible healthy cornerback in college right now. He's that sticky cornerback. He's got really good in that lockdown role. 25 targets, 8 catches. He is really good. I just think that the only issue with Delane for me is that he's not that kind of elite athlete, which you ideally have. It's not a precursor to success at all. But I like the Delane pick there for the Cowboys. The defensive linemen worry me a bit because David Bailey, I think, is fantastic, but you've kind of already got that lighter pass rusher on one side with Donovan Ezra-Rock. You kind of need, I think, like you know what you need? You need Micah Parsons, but hey, we don't have a time machine. So I'm going to feel better about taking them not the more sure thing here, but I think the one that fits the team better right now with how it's built in Mantle Delane.
I don't hate it. I mean, I would argue right now he might be my Jim Thorpe Award pick right now, the way he's playing. He's been an incredible defensive back for LSU this year, and it's unfortunate for LSU that they finally fixed the secondary and everything else fell apart around the team. So it's what held back those Jaden Daniels teams in the past, and even last year's team with Garrett Nussmeier, all the weapons they had was that secondary was atrocious, and they finally fixed it this year with guys like AJ Halsey and Mansour Delane, and then now of course the offensive line crumbles and everything else crumbles around it too. So it's unfortunate for LSU. We'll see what they do at head coach later on, but yeah, Delane has been phenomenal for LSU this year.
It's so funny. I say that Brian Kelly did like one of those deal with the devils. You don't read the fine print. It's like, I'll do anything for a good defense. What's it going to cost me? Your offense basically
your
is what it's
entire
going to cost
offensive
them.
line.
Yeah, it's like those crap genies that give you the wishes. And I wish to be a millionaire, and they give you like it in like Zimbabwean dollars. So it's useless. So that's what college football can do to you. The Vikings at 13. Is this Jeremiah Love?
I have to, because one is to be a great fit for Minnesota, who needs a running back, and I think to help out JJ McCarthy, who hasn't looked great so far, but also has only been a few games for him in his career. We'll give him at least next year too to kind of show whether or not he can be the franchise quarterback. So help him out in that offense, get a dynamic running back like Jeremiah Love in there, get Jeremiah Love and Justin Jefferson, and Jordan Addison, and that offensive line, whether or not McCarthy is the guy for them, whoever the next guy is, whether it be McCarthy or someone else, they're walking into an incredible situation with Kevin O'Connell at head coach. So I'm taking him here for that reason, and also I know you're not taking him at 14. And Dom, I do not think it would be very kind to the rest of the NFL if we let Jeremiah Love fall to 15, where I will absolutely scoop him up for the Kansas City Chiefs. That'd be unfair if you add him to Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid in that offense too. So I'm scooping him here because he's a great pick for the Vikings, and also so we do not have him go to Kansas City.
Look, sometimes that's what it's about. You got to be aware of what other teams are going to do. At 14, then the Ravens. I love someone like a Casey Concepcion, but I think that I love my wide receiver room to have like a diversification of skill sets, and I do feel that with Zay Flowers there, you kind of have that shifty guy, the smaller guy. So I don't want to take one of those, although I do think wide receivers are a need. But you can get a wide receiver like, maybe Denzel Burke if he falls, who knows, one of those big guys. You can get them later, I think. So I am then going to go, we'll go defensive line, and I'm going to take Keldrick Folk from Auburn there. He plays edge, but can play interior, can kind of move. You can move that guy around. I mean, he's 6'6", 285 pounds. He's a freak athlete, unreal physical traits, 26 pressures, 2 sacks. Still, he's very explosive, but still quite raw, still young, but I think really the Ravens need to kind of take a swing here on their defensive line and really try and shore it up, and I think that Folk will do that.
I like that a lot. I think it makes a lot of sense for their defense. He's a big-time run defender for them, and just kind of see if he can develop as a pass rusher more. But I think he actually has a pretty good floor as a pass rusher already. So big-time fan of Keldrick Folk, who I think could be ended up being a top 10 pick the way it's looking right now in this draft. We'll see. All right, what do I have? I got Kansas City up here now.
The Chiefs.
the
Quarterback,
way
Mahomes is playing. Ooh.
Maybe. I would take. I'm going to still go scorched earth here. This guy, I think he's good. I don't think he's as good as, I hear a lot of the talk about him being a top 5, top 10 pick, and I'm like, listen, that's reserved for the Brock Bowers and the Tyler Warrens of the world. I like Kenyon Sadiq. I think he's still worth a first-round pick. I do not know if Travis Kelce will be playing past this year. It feels like this might be his final year in the NFL. So I'm going to take Kenny Sadiq here as kind of the heir apparent to Travis Kelce.
I am not a Sadiq truther, Max. I'm not going to lie to you. I think that guy's got the best PR team in the country because everyone is hyping this guy up. And look, he's obviously very good, right? He's clear-cut tight end one. It's not a question. But when I look at tight ends now, if you don't offer that kind of elite receiving ability, like, let's say, a Colston Loveland, like, say, a Brock Bowers or a Dalton Kincaid, and then you also aren't that kind of Swiss Army knife like a Tyler Warren or a great inline blocker, then I don't really know why I'd draft you with a first-round pick. Honestly, to be honest, even someone like Kincaid, who's actually been playing really well this year for the Bills, has he been, like, quote-unquote, worth that even later selection?
True.
I don't know. I just think that, obviously, he's had 2 big games. He's had the game against, Minnesota, and then a game against Rutgers earlier. All I'm seeing from his highlight reel at the moment is a diving catch from a slightly inaccurate pass from Dante Moore when he's wide open in front of the end zone. Like, this guy, he could be very good. I could absolutely miss, and he could be fantastic. That's how it goes sometimes. But for me, the hype doesn't match what I'm seeing from his tape. And that's not to say that he's not going to be good whatsoever. It's not a good pick. I'm not trashing that. I just don't yet see it with Sadiq.
I'm kind of with you there. I do think, and this is probably higher than I would personally take him. I do think it would work in like a specific place like Kansas City.
Yes, it's a good fit.
They would take him like that. Like, for any other team that needs a tight end, say if they were picking 15, I would not take Kenny Sadiq here because I don't know if it would work there.
Yeah, no,
but I do think that tight end is so critical to their offense right now, and Travis Kelce is doing the best he got right now. I mean, he's actually still playing at a great level right now, but again, I think Kelce, he has plenty of greener pastures after the NFL is over, let's put it that way. So I think this might be his final year in the NFL, especially the way that Kansas City is looking right now. Even if they hit the playoffs this year, I mean, I think Kelsey's probably done. But I think Sadiq would be a great heir apparent and a guy that they really would need if Kelce does retire.
Yeah, it is a really good fit, and you're right. That tight end position is so important to the Chiefs. I mean, we've seen it throughout the years. My Texans at 16, brilliant, love it. Well, we have to take offensive line, and thankfully for the first time, I have my OT1 on the board in Spencer Fano. I think the fact that he's got to 16 shows how me and you kind of see this class at the moment. I think that kind of speaks volumes, really. He looked really good last year, Spencer Fano, but hasn't looked as good this year. There's been a recent uptick in play and production, so it's looking good, but he isn't that kind of Penei Sewell type of offensive tackle one or the likes that have been taken before him. I think he is relatively flawed. I think he's quite light, 310 pounds. I'm sure he's put on a bit of muscle this year. It's really hard to find those weights, annoyingly, at least from my end. And he's not really got that frame that I think you can easily add weight to. He's not got that really lower mass. He's quite kind of almost top heavy. He might have sub 33-inch arms. Basically, he's just not that sure thing at tackle that seems to come around every year. I mean, we've had someone like Evan Neal who has been a bust, and that's not to say that the physical traits are a prerequisite to success. But I think you kind of feel better if your offensive tackle is an absolute behemoth of a guy who is, can bench a ridiculous amount and can run like a crazy fast time. But Spencer Fano for the Texans, we need offensive line help, more like we need air to breathe, frankly. And Fano's the best one, so it works quite nicely.
I agree with that. Yeah, I think Fano's a great player. I still think he could be a top 10 pick in the draft. I think he's played well this year. I know you don't love this class that much, and I know Trevor doesn't love the class either that much when I talk to him about it. I kind of like this tackle class a little bit. I like Malingoa. I think Proctor's played pretty well this year too. So I think all three of those guys I would take somewhere in the top probably 20 of the draft. But Fano, I would agree with you, is my OT1 right now. I would still have him there.
Nice. This is a great team to be picking for right now. The Panthers at 17. You've got so many ways to go.
Yeah, I'm going to go with David Bailey here. I think David Bailey, they need help on the edge. This is right now the second worst pass rush grade in the NFL behind the Dolphins, and this is not a new problem either for Carolina. They've had problems on that defensive line for a very long time. They try to address it by getting guys like Nick Scorton, who I loved that pick at the time. I had Scorton as a first-round caliber prospect for me. They got him in the second round. He's actually played pretty well for them, so I think he is a long-term answer for them at one edge spot. Princely Monmielen, I love that pick too. He has not looked as good this year. Pat Jones, to me, is more of a rotational guy than anything else. So I'm going to go with David Bailey here. Now, the measurables don't look the best for him. He's only 6'3", 250 pounds, not great arm length either, but the numbers speak for themselves right now. He has probably been the best pass rusher, I'd argue, in college football this year. He leads the nation in pressure. So I want to take David Bailey here to the Panthers and hope that he and Nick Scorton, he would fit that defense too, that kind of 3-4 defense that they run. I want to take David Bailey and hope that he and Scorton can finally fix this edge problem that the Carolina Panthers have had for a long time, honestly. I know they have Brian Burns, but other than that, man, they've really struggled at edge defender.
71 pressures.
Crazy.
Great, and that leads by quite a significant margin as well. 71 pressures is crazy. I loved watching his tape coming out of Stanford in this offseason and going to Texas Tech. He's shown that he's that guy. The Lions at 18, I think this is going to be where I take German McCoy. I'm going to take that kind of discount and really bolster position, almost a bit like you're saying with the edge. I think that the Lions have been just cycling through cornerbacks in recent years, and they just really struggled to find that one that they can really rely on. They even... Who was the pick from a few years ago who's drafted like third overall, the cornerback? Sorry?
Oh, Jeff Okudah.
Jeff Okudah, they even rolled him out, if I'm correct in saying a few seasons ago. So John McCoy, obviously he's got the knee injury. It will be fine. I'm assuming that he'll be able to do the combine and stuff. That's kind of what I'm at least hearing from my end. And he'll be healthy for the season. And look, you're getting that injury discount. He could have been, before this season, a top 10 pick. Obviously with the lack of tape that's out there and other players playing better, etc., he kind of just like naturally falls. But that's not because he's not a talented player at all. He really is. So to get him at 18, I love the value there. The Bucks at 19.
Yeah, I was real quick on McCoy. I think his tape in his sophomore year was so good that he still could be the top corner taken over Mansour Lane. Even like it was truly special. So I think getting him at that range is phenomenal for him, and hopefully he can recover. Because I don't think the way Tennessee season is pretty much over right now. I doubt we see him at all in the last 2 games of the year for them. So number 19, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Oh boy, I got a couple options here. I think I might go between the top 2 guys that you see on the board right there, Cassius Howell and Sonny Styles.
I love Sonny Styles, man.
I do too. Yeah, you know what? Let's do it. Let's do Sonny Styles. I think Sonny Styles, they need help at linebacker. Levante David will not play forever, despite him showing otherwise. But yeah, I think Sonny Styles is a really good player, and he and Arvell Reese together alongside Caleb Downs, who's been kind of like a pseudo linebacker at times for that defense too. Styles, I think Ohio State's linebacker room is so fun because Reese, like you mentioned before when you picked him, is kind of a linebacker / edge rusher. Styles was recruited to Ohio State to play safety, and then he beefed up and now is over 240 pounds. He's a legitimate linebacker build now, but he still has that coverage ability kind of a safety. So I love what he can do as kind of like a coverage player as well at linebacker.
So you have as well.
Yeah, exactly. I know Matt Patricia loves that defense, like having Caleb Downs, who's like a safety / linebacker. Arvell Reese is a linebacker / edge rusher. Sonny Styles is a linebacker / safety. These guys just can do anything for that defense, which makes their defense so good. I think the middle of that defense, I think, is the best part of their defense. So I love Sonny Styles, and I think he will be a first-round pick. And I think for the Buccaneers, it makes a ton of sense here.
Yeah, he's my 14th ranked player. He's made 52 tackles and not missed a single one.
Nuts.
Nuts. Absolutely nuts. He would be LB1 as well in any other class. I get for linebackers, you want different things. They play slightly different roles. It's not to say that every team would have him as LB1, but I think just because he's playing on a team with Arvell Reese, he's getting kind of slept on, if I'm being honest with you. Not a sleeper, obviously, but, relative for the first round still, I'd almost call him one. So the Browns. Let's recap what they took in the first round. They have their quarterback in Dante Moore. You know what? I'm going to give this pick to you because you picked them for the first... No, actually, I'm going to take that back because I got to take someone here, Max. I've got to pull back on you as the man with the mouse. I'm going to take Casey Concepcion here.
Wow, okay. I don't hate it.
I love this guy. I love this guy. Max, you can tell me if you don't. That's absolutely fine. I'm not going to be offended. But he is just... a blur. He's got those like roadrunner legs. They just keep moving. He's so dynamic. He's so fast as a route runner. He's a nightmare to cover. You can almost like feel and see the panic in the cornerback's eyes when they realize they've got to try and guard Casey Concepcion in space. Yes, he's smaller. Yes, he's lighter. Another 5'11", 190 pounder. But the way I see it is you can't press and you can't tackle what you can't touch. And he's facing one of the highest press rates in the nation right now, and he's consistently winning because he is just that good at it. Defenders are literally falling over when they're trying to cover this guy. And it's not just about being quick. We've seen guys that are quick, and it's not as simple as, okay, I can run a 4-2 or a 4-3, whatever. I can win in the NFL. He's got the agility. He's got the vision with the ball in his hands. He's housed multiple punts already in his college career. I think he is the juice that the Browns' offense has been lacking. Him and Dante Moore. Okay, the offensive line is terrible. Maybe that would have been the smarter pick in hindsight. But sometimes sometimes it's just simple as fast player goes brr. And I'm taking it.
I love it. I think, how I would describe A&M this year is like they're kind of like their receiving course, like the discounted version of Ohio State, where you have a guy in Casey Concepcion who's going to be a first-round pick this year, like Cardinal Tate, and then like next year with Jeremiah Smith, Mario Craver is having an incredible year as a true sophomore too in that system. So I think that's why I'm a little. I think he's a great player. I'm a little anti the Marcel Reed Heisman agenda right now. I think it's more about the receiving core at A&M rather than the quarterback. And I know it sounds a little crazy because I do think Sayan should win the Heisman this year. I think that has more to do with just all three of them are awesome together. I think Reed is getting a little bit carried by that receiving core, and a big part of that is Casey Concepcion, who is just a dynamite player with the ball in his hands. Man, this guy, as a true freshman at NC State, as a wide receiver, he led them in rushing yards that year. So it's like, just get the ball in this guy's hands. He's like kind of like a Deebo Samuel light kind of player that you could have in that offense. So I like it, man. I think offensive line was a option there with guys like Malangoa and Proctor there, but they need wide receiver in the worst way too. I can't hate on that pick at all.
Yeah, that was probably the more sensible pick, but as I said, look, we're rolling with it. Sometimes you got to go with your heart, not your head.
Exactly.
Steelers at 21.
There's no quarterback I would take here. I think I'm looking at, tackle would not be the worst thing in the world either. And I kind of like how this board is falling tackle-wise. Because you look at the Steelers right now and what they have at offensive tackle. I know Broderick Jones he just has not shown enough, I don't think, in his 3 years now that he could be a starting caliber tackle for them. So I'm going to take, hopefully Troy Fautanu works out for them. But I'm going to take Francis Malangoa, the offensive tackle from Miami. Just replace Broderick Jones there, and hopefully be the long-term tackle duo that you have there. I know Steelers fans are probably so sick of taking first-round offensive tackles, but you got to hit on them before you can stop taking them, right? So they have not, at least right now, they have not hit on Broderick Jones or Troy Fautanu. I have a little more faith in Fautanu than I have in Broderick Jones because he's played a little bit better, and he's of course younger too. But I think Malangoa has been phenomenal this year at Miami. They're one of the best offensive lines in the country. He's a big reason for that. 86.4 PFF grade this year. He's kind of put it all together. It feels like this year as a junior. I'm going to take him here to the Steelers.
Nice, I like that. The Chargers. Oh, the Chargers at 22. See, I'm not a Cassius Howell guy. I'm really concerned about the arm length. I don't know about you. I think to have. What is it? Is it sub 32? What is it?
It's small. It's going to be a big problem for. He's a great player, and I think he probably will end up going in the first round. But yeah, it's a little worrying for. It's like kind of like David Bailey's not as bad as that, but it's a little bit of a worry. I think once we get to the combine with David Bailey and Cassius Howell, they might drop a little bit for some boards.
Yeah. Okay. I know who I'm going with. I am going to go with. Am I going with Jennings Dunker here? Moving him to guard.
It's not a bad. They need interior offensive line. I don't think
they
need
interior, but I also love. I've got to ask you this as well. How do I pronounce the Penn State guard's name? Because I can't. Usually, I can rely on the broadcaster saying it, but because he's an offensive lineman, they never say it. How do I pronounce that?
I had to like practice this in the mirror because on the first few times I did it on the show, I just butchered it. And the thing I hate the most is getting kids' names wrong. Because I feel like everyone deserves to get their names right. So it's Olai Vavenga and then Ioane, I believe is how you say it. Yeah.
We're going to go with Ioane there because he's played all three. I think he's an absolute wall. I think that with Connor Lew tearing his ACL, he might be that kind of pure interior offensive line one. People like Maranello are kind of moving into the interior. Same with someone like a Caden Proctor. So obviously we've got these converts going everywhere. But with I've already forgotten it.
Ioane.
I got to write it down right now. Ioane. He has, played mostly at left guard, but can play center, can play right guard. He's experienced, he's versatile, high floor kind of player. And I think someone like the Chargers with their head coach there, obviously, with Harbaugh, is going to really value that kind of high floor. And look, protect our sweet Prince Justin Herbert.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. Absolutely. I think he's been a great player for Penn State this year, one of the few bright spots they've had, and he's an incredible pass blocker. I think he's been great this year. And with Connor Lew, the center at Auburn, kind of suffering a torn ACL, I don't even know if he's going to declare this year anymore. He would have been like maybe the top interior guy, but he and Jennings Dunker, I think, Ioane and Jennings Dunker are the two guys I would say right now are the top of the interior offensive line class. So for a team that needs help on the interior O-line, and this offensive line with Slater and Alt going down is really falling apart this year. I mean, it's been easily, I think, the worst offensive line in football, and Justin Herbert is still making some great plays even with that offensive line. Yeah, going this route, because you're going to get Slater and Alt back, but still your interior is still terrible. So you gotta boost that up, I think, with Ioane. I think it's a great pick there.
Nice. The Cowboys for you.
Oh, is it the Cowboys or the 49ers?
Oh, sorry, 49ers. My mistake. 49ers at 23.
Okay, I'm going to take Caden Proctor here.
Okay.
The one thing I'll say is that I don't know if he would fit this scheme in the outside zone scheme, which is a problem because he's a bigger offensive lineman, and obviously you want guys
big is
to
underselling it.
Yeah, he's 365, so he is massive. But he does have an 85 zone grade this year if you click on his name. So I think I'm going to take him here. I think they need help on the offensive line. Maybe you can even move him into guard long term, and because I know they got some good guards there in San Francisco. But I'm going to take him here, just take the talent and see if it works out. Again, the scheme fit isn't great because I think he's probably better in a man or gap scheme. But maybe you can take him here and hope that if he doesn't work out at tackle, he and Dominic Pooney at guard could be a pretty awesome duo they have there too.
Yeah, no, I agree. Proctor for me is just one of those, he's that style of offensive lineman that I personally just don't love. Those
I get it, yeah.
Big maulers. I know that it works for some teams, absolutely, but for me, he is a behemoth, right? 98th percentile weight. That is just, and obviously everything that comes with that, the anchor, the size, the people moving ability. You can't not look at Proctor and think, he's got that off the bus test. He passes that with flying colors. And in San Francisco, where they need basically just a healthy body with a beating heart in it, they'll take what they can get on the offensive line. The Cowboys at 24. So for the last Cowboys pick, Max helped me go with Mansour Delane. Here, I think we will go with the tackle because that just makes sense with, I think, how this board has kind of fallen. These guys are all kind of trending inside. I really like Blake Miller as a kind of developmental guy. He's a crazy athlete. I'm gonna take Blake Miller here. I think I might have done that last time, but I just do think that sometimes you take a swing on the athleticism and the upside and how they project. And he, for me, is almost like the Anthony Richardson of OT prospects, right? He just has those 35-inch arms. He's 6'6", 315. He's just a crazy athlete. Get him pulling, get him in space. Great match mirror ability. He can nullify speed off the edge. He's not the polished, realized full product just yet, not by any means, but in a weaker kind of tackle class, I think Blake Miller could be one of those risers that we see go in this kind of range.
He's incredibly experienced, too. This guy, I believe, has been starting at right tackle for 4 years at Clemson, which is outrageous. So, yeah, he's really experienced, and, yeah, he's a good player, absolutely. All right, I got the Bears here at 25. Jeremiah Love, unfortunately, did not fall this far, or else he would be a pick. I think what I might do is just – this is tough. I might say arm length aside, let's take Cassius Howell. I think they just need help on that defensive line, whether it be a D tackle or edge. Caleb Banks has been really banged up this year. He's a really good talent, but I just don't know how high he'll go in the draft with all the injuries he's had this year. Howell's been phenomenal, 91 pass rush grade. He's up there among the best of them in pressures. Been one of the best pass rushers really in college football this year. Not as good of a run defender, and you worry about that a little bit, but I think he's going to be a guy that I like a lot. His production's great. The size isn't great at 6'2", and obviously very, very short arms from all the intel that we've gotten on him so far. but I still think he's worth probably a pick somewhere in the first round. And I think Chicago here at 25, who need help on that defensive line, would be happy to scoop him up.
Yeah, he took LSU's offensive tackles to the cleaners with his ghost move, and you saw him as well, just absolutely chatting smack at them as well. Just that's what you want from your defensive lineman. You want that unhinged, crazy guy that is genuinely out there to kill the opposing quarterbacks. Obviously within the confines of the game, but yeah, he's got those verified sub 31-inch arms. Will be a problem, but he's got the production. He can rush the passer. So it will be a question for NFL teams when they evaluate him, how much they care about the traits, how much they care about the basically the production. Really, the Bills. I almost just want to say every single time the Bills come up that I'm just going to give them big citrus, because they just have never been able to stop the run, and it's jarring how every single year the Bills get to a point where they're ready to compete and then they have a team just run them over. Obviously a bit early for big citrus, and I do think that you can get those kind of run stuffers a bit later in the draft. So we're going to go with a bit of a late riser here for me, but someone that I think is a really good player still, and that is Brandon Cisse from South Carolina as the defensive back. He's got absolute wheels, 6 foot, 190 pounds. He's got 1 interception, 6 pass breakups. I know that the Bills had, in their last draft, they took 2 cornerbacks, obviously, one with the first round pick, the other with a later round pick, but I don't know, man. I just think the Bills' defense always seems to be the weak link, and I'm kind of tired of that. And when you got Brandon Cisse, if you're going against, say, the Chiefs, and they've got their, maybe like someone like a Marquez Valdez-Scantling, the speed, obviously, with one of those players that they used to have, he can match with that, and I think that's really valuable when it comes to January and it comes to playoff football.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's a guy that I've watched a little bit recently because I know he's been rising on boards for a lot of people, and great run defender. So I know corners don't really contribute to run defense that much, but he has been a good run defender for South Carolina this year. And yeah, you mentioned the speed. Yeah, he's a very fast corner, and you're right, man. I mean, listen, I know they took Maxwell Harrison in the first round last year, but this defense is just not good enough right now. And it just feels like, and I don't want to say they're wasting Josh Allen because they're still making it very far in the playoffs, but you got to add more on that defense to actually win a Super Bowl. Because if you end Josh Allen's career without a Super Bowl ring, how good he has been, it would be a complete waste, I think. And yeah, I don't hate that at all. I also would have considered Denzel Boston there too, because this Keon Coleman thing, man, it's getting worrisome. How he's getting healthy scratched right now. It's like, man, that's another area they might need help at.
That was the pick. Soon. That was the pick, Max. You should have stopped me. You should have said something.
I like Brandon Cisse though. No, listen. That's more of a luxury because Josh Allen can, Dom, if me and you were his number 1 and number 2 receivers, he'd make it work out there.
Hey, we're winning rings, Max. We
would be. But I think the defense needs a lot of help. So I agree with the thinking there. That they just need to add more to that defense.
Nice. The Seahawks at 27.
Yeah, so, oh, man. Should I keep Denzel Boston in Seattle? And
oh, yeah,
that would be
love
fun.
that.
Because they kind of need an outside threat because they have Jackson Smith-Njigba and Cooper Kupp, but not much of an outside. I do like Torrey Horton a lot, but he's more of a guy that I consider to be, you know what? It's him, and I'm also looking at corner too, because I don't know if Tariq. I'm going to pass on the luxury of Denzel Boston, and I'm going to go with the pick I probably should make, like eat my vegetables here with Seattle and take Avion Terrell because I just think, man, I don't know if Tariq Woolen's going to last in Seattle. It feels like he might leave this offseason. I like Devon Witherspoon too, but they need more of that secondary right now. And Avion Terrell, again, like a lot of Clemson players, ironically, even though they've had a bad year, Terrell's had a good year. TJ Parker's had a good year. I would say even Cade Klubnik has been solid. I think everything else around Cade Klubnik kind of, got worse this year, but Terrell's still been really good this year too. So I'll take him here, and I still think he's probably a first-round caliber player.
Yeah, he's on that fringe for me, definitely. Someone that I'm not as high on as others, but I mean, people love Avion Terrell, and he's got the pedigree. He's got his brother already in the league, AJ Terrell. He has been a fantastic corner, a bit light, but hey, look, you can't have it all. The Jets. See now. I will give you this second pick. Because I would almost kind of be tempted to swing for the fences and just take Lenora Sellers and see what you've got in him for a year and then maybe go back to the well again. But That's just my suggestion. I am this time passing it over to you gracefully as the host. The last time you drafted them, you took them Jordan Tyson, and you said yourself, look, we're not going to draft a quarterback, so I'm not going to go against you as the Jets GM here. If you want to go a different route, please do feel free.
The one problem I would say with Lenore Sellers, and I don't hate the thinking there at all. The one problem I would say with him is that, like, he's a project.
Yes, that's true.
Whereas if you go into next year and you're horrible and you have the number 1 pick, it would be a little disingenuous to be like, oh, well screw Sellers, like we're taking Sayin. It's like, well, Sellers, you just don't know if it's going to work out. Like, you need like 2 or 3 years to figure him out, I think.
Yeah.
Whereas, if the Jets, in my plan, my big brain here, my big brain plan for the Jets is if we get Julian Sayin, we get Julian Sayin. Now, I don't hate like a Garrett Nussmeier here, where it's like, hey, if he turns out to be great, sure, then we don't need to take Julian Sayin next year, right? And that's more of a high floor player. But again, I'm more thinking for the future here. Man, it would be funny just go full scorched earth and just take Denzel Boston.
Honestly, I really like that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I really like that.
I'm considering it. I'm like, man, as they're more than one away. If they get Denzel Boston, Jordan Tyson, and Garrett Wilson, it's like, wow. we're done here. Like, we don't need to worry about that. What else do they need? They need a linebacker. C.J. Allen's still here.
Yeah.
They need a corner with Sauce Gardner gone too. Colton Hood is still here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll go to the defense. I don't know if I could justify going
probably
2 receivers.
Sensible. Probably sensible.
Yeah, I think that. So I'll actually leave it to you. For any defensive player, what do you think I should do here?
I really like C.J. Allen.
Okay.
I really like
that's where
I
was leaning that way too.
Yeah, I think he is just such a thumper. He's that prototypical middle linebacker. The Bulldogs defense is not, that great this year. Previously, we've had just stables of pass rushers coming out of Georgia, and that's not really the case this year, at least in this draft. And C.J. Allen is partly why they are just so good against the run, because he can chase down DJ Lagway on a QB run. He can get wide receivers on jet sweeps. He can get off blocks from the offensive line. He's really, really good, and that's kind of the player that you want on your defense. It's not like Jets fans might not be over the moon the same way if you drafted a quarterback or a wide receiver, but that's the kind of player that teams need on their defense and just get really underappreciated. So I really like C.J. Allen there. The Rams at 29. I quite like the cornerback then here, because the Rams with their pick, we took Ty Simpson because they had the house money. So we sometimes I go with Sellers there, but I'm going to take here Keith Abney from Arizona State. He's just that irritatingly present cornerback is what I would say. He had a great playoff run in 2024. He's got good speed, unbelievable hips. He's not a top tier athlete either, but he just has that ability to stay on you and be that really irritating, really annoying cornerback that you just cannot shake. And the Rams need that on their defense.
Yeah, I love that pick. I think I would have absolutely gone with the corner there. That's I think their biggest need on the team right now. So they really just haven't figured out corner since they traded away Jalen Ramsey, however long ago that was, right? So, yeah, I love that pick. And I think Keith Dabney's a really good player, and he's a fun player for that defense. So I think it's a fun pick right there. I'm going to take Denzel Boston here to the Patriots.
Nice.
Just for, again, like the Jeremiah Love pick to the Vikings, just so the Eagles do not get Denzel Boston, because I think they would be all over that. But I think this is a team that, Stephon Diggs has played great this year for Drake May, but Stephon Diggs is about, 32 years old and has had a lot of injuries in the past. I like Demario Douglas, but he's more of like a slot guy for you. Kayshon Boutte has actually been pretty good this year too, but that might have more to do, I think, with Drake May being so unreal. You get Drake May a legitimate, number one receiver like Denzel Boston that could be the guy he grows with. Boston could be either number 2 or number 3 next year, but with Diggs, probably not going to be lasting very long in New England. He could be the long-term answer for Drake May, wide receiver. And Drake May, as we've seen so far, is looking like maybe a potential top 5 quarterback in the NFL. So with what he's got right now, which is crazy. So I'm taking Denzel Boston here to the Patriots and just hopefully giving Drake May a wide receiver 1 for the future.
Yeah, I love Denzel Boston. I love Drake May even more. So I love that pick. No notes from me. I'm going to go to the well here with the Eagles, and we're going to invest in the offensive line. This team's been doing it for years. Jennings Dunker. If you're looking for an interior offensive lineman in this draft, look no further than the ginger mullet and great mustache farm boy from Iowa kind of player who, if you want a guard, I want my guard looking a bit crazy. I want them having that mullet. I want them having a mustache. I want them just being that kind of embodiment of those tough interior offensive linemen. And Jennings Dunkett is also, doesn't just look the part. He is the part. He's a really, really good player. Plays, mean. That's what you want. And he's a really easy eval, in my opinion. He's just going to be a good interior offensive lineman, and that's what the Eagles need.
I think it's a phenomenal pick. I think the Eagles, the reason why their offensive line is always one of the best in the league every single year.
Exactly.
And that's one of the most important parts every single year is that they invest in it even when you don't think they need to. They keep investing into it and get more and more players in there. That way, when players, retire like Jason Kelce or they move on to other teams like Mekhi Becton, it's just plug and play. We get another guy right behind them, right? So it's a great strategy by Howie Roseman. It's kind of building it the way like say in Alabama or Georgia did back in the day, where it was like, hey, next man up. We got the next guy up. Next guy is going to be a superstar too. So just keep it going. And, in that offense, the offensive line is everything to that team right now. So I think, that kind of pick right there is very, very smart for Philadelphia and probably something that Howie Roseman would do, actually, in the draft too. All right, I got Denver here.
PFF have the Broncos at 30. Guys, what are you doing at PFF over there, man? Come on, the
I think
Broncos I've been told that this is your fault. That this is you personally.
This is current standings, isn't it? Right now.
No, it is. I'm pulling your leg.
Okay, all right. I don't know. I don't think Denver's winning a Super Bowl with Bo Nix right now. I'll put it that way.
No, neither do I.
But they're a great team. Absolutely, they've had an incredible year this year. We're actually going to try to help out Bo Nix even more and give him another receiver. I'm going to go with Chris Bell here, the wideout from Louisville. I think he's a really good player. He's got good size, good speed for that size as well. Just getting more in that receiver room right now. I think they got to do that, whether it be a wide receiver. If Kenyon Sadiq does fall to wherever Denver is picking, that could be another good pick for Denver too. But yeah, I just think a guy like Chris Bell, who's around a first-round caliber player, I would say. So this is right around the range I would take him at. And for a team like Denver who just needs more pass catchers for Bo Nix, this is a guy I really look at for them too.
Brilliant. And then Chris Bell to the Broncos. So you can see on the screen now mine and Max's full mock draft. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. Do you agree or disagree? I'm sure there'll be loads of discussions. That's what we love about the draft. Make sure you like the video and make sure you subscribe to not miss out on another draft video. But Max, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you very much for your time. If for some reason people don't know where they can find you and your content, where can they?
Yeah, I appreciate that. So I host the PFF College Football Show, which is every Sunday is our review show going over the biggest results from the weekend, and every Tuesday is our preview show previewing all the biggest games of the weekend. Then, of course, transfer portal coming up very soon. We're going to cover that in depth. Recruiting, we're going to cover that even more. The coaching carousel, we're going to cover that even more. And obviously, once we get to draft season, which is coming up very soon too, we'll get to the NFL draft too. And that all-eligible mock draft should be very fun, the way this college season is looking this year too. So, yeah, the PFF College Football Show, which is on YouTube and anywhere you get your podcast too.
Brilliant. And as a listener and watcher myself, it is absolutely fantastic. So I do implore everyone out there to go and watch and go and listen, because it is the best wealth of knowledge for the college football game. So thank you very much for watching. I've been your host, Dom Corbs. That's Matt Chadwick. We'll see you on the next one.